Back in the backwoods today for a quick bit of solo while camping. Currently making our way to the camp area, and we stopped here at the stream. See, I've been a little unwell recently. I've had the eye infection, now I've got a chest infection, and I didn't want to be carrying too much weight into the woods with us, hence the stop at the stream. And so we have to collect some water. Combining a water bottle with a Sawyer Mini, we collect that water from the stream. We're good to go. Check out the discoloration in this water. Definitely not the worst I've seen, but it's not something you will want to drink unpurified. So that is our shelter setup complete in this little corner of the woods. Opted for the British Army bivvy bag with some tarp clips thrown into the mix to create this nice little shelter. Got our roll mat and our one wind overquilt. I still need to do some testing on. We'll throw those in there a little later. But for now, that's shelter setup complete. It's coffee time. Got a bit of a mix today with the BCB Crusader stove and the Stanley cook set. Mixing it all up. Fuck me. What the fuck? It's out. It's out. So nearing the end of spring, can't think of a better time than now to go on a little scout and see what wild edibles we can come across. Because if we leave it any longer, the vegetation is just going to grow out of control, and that will prove a little difficult to come across those wild edibles. So we'll finish up our coffee and have a look around. And then I think when we get back to camp here, we're going to create ourselves another little smudge pot, because mosquitoes are just crazy. It's not so bad when you're walking around, but when you're static, they just swarm. Look at the size of him. Seeking out that good spot for blood. So this is a perfect example here of what we were talking about earlier with this Himalayan balsam. In about a month's time, it will be taller than us. But talking about this Himalayan balsam, the seedlings, young shoots, leaves, flowers are all edible with caution. They can be eaten cooked or raw. But here's the thing. Himalayan balsam contains high amounts of minerals, so you don't want to eat them in great quantities. And if you suffer from kidney or bladder stones, gout, hyperacidity or rheumatism, it's advised that you stay away from the Himalayan balsam. So now as we begin to make our way through this denser vegetation, we want to be aware of the roe deer, the babbas. For the months of May and June is when the roe deer give birth to their fawns, and we don't want to go treading on any little speckled backs. And of course, if you do encounter any fawns, you want to be sure to just leave them be. They are not abandoned, their mother is around, the mother always comes back. And so you don't want to disturb that cycle, and you definitely don't want to touch it because scent. So I reckon I'm actually still sick with the same illness that I got on that kayak camp a good 3 weeks ago, just can't seem to shake it. But this may help. Veronica montana, more commonly known as Wood Speedwell. This can be used as an aromatic herb with the leaves, flowers or shoots, or used as a medicinal herb to treat a cold, bronchitis, rheumatism, gout, and a number of other ailments. Which is what we're going to be using it for today. We're going to be cooking ourselves up some Speedwell tea once we get to camp. Just had little Mr. Fox watching and learning about some Wood Speedwell too. Beautiful animal, haven't got any immediate food for him unfortunately. Oh. Well, we're up a good 8 or 9 feet up on this tree, and with me standing on it, it equates to about 15 feet in the air. I think it would be a good vantage point, but it's all just bush. Although I can see one thing. Right there, some King Alfred's cakes. So why are they called King Alfred's cakes? Well, King Alfred lived in the 9th century when parts of Britain were overrun by Vikings. Trying to escape them, he took refuge in the home of a peasant woman who asked him to watch her cakes baking by the fire. Well, he let them burn and was scolded by the woman for his negligence, and so cakes, burnt cakes, King Alfred's cakes. So these are a great fire lighting tool that were used by our ancestors going way back, because this here will take a spark, any spark, flint and steel, ferro rod, you name it. If it's a spark, this will catch it and it will hold it, and it will essentially smolder for a very long time, which allowed our ancestors to travel with fire. Back at camp now, and I'm just sitting here. I heard a hell of a thump coming from those bushes just over there. Ducks flying, birds flying, and then silence. Out comes little Mr. Fox with his dinner in tow. I've seen him a few times this week. I hope he's not stalking me. Let's go make a smudge pot. So we've got our tin here, we're just filling it up with some punk wood. If you didn't see how we made it, it's very simple. You just get a tin and fill it with punk wood. I mean, that's one way to do it. So we've got ourselves a lighter. We're just going to light her up. Here's a short uploaded of the process of how we made this, but it's pretty self-explanatory. So we don't want it to catch fire, we just want it to smoulder. And that's what we want, just want it to smoulder and smoke. Keeps those mosquitoes away. Now we can just place it by us. And those mosquitoes will be gone. Ouch, light is hot. Now the next task, we're going to make ourselves some Speedwell tea, but it's very simple. Just get some boiling water, and then we'll place all of this into the water and let it steep for a good 5 minutes. So you can see the water now has a nice green tint to it, and that's good to go. So here's the trouble with the lid of the S-bit stove when you arrange it to try to manipulate the heat. Obviously when I went to take it off, I burnt my finger on the handle right there pretty good. So now I have to wait for the lid to cool down in order to change the position of it to put it out. Grubs up. Got some pasta, nice and easy before we settle in for the evening. Still got quite a bit of light left, so I may collect some firewood. I'm not sure yet, haven't decided. We don't need one, but it's always nice to have one, so we'll see. A little chilly this morning. This is where the overquilt comes in nice and convenient, wearing it as a poncho on these chilly mornings before it warms up. Gotta love those multifunctional pieces of kit, multi-purpose, multi-use, however you want to say it. If you could do more than one thing with a piece of kit, it's always worth having. Talking about new kit, gonna bite the bullet, get a new roll mat because super uncomfortable night. That one's had its day. The plan this morning, finish up this coffee, strike camp. Camp has been struck and I'm just looking around the area here trying to look for the kill site, and I reckon the only place I've really found that's fresh and disturbed is this area here. So here's an interesting little fact. Calculations have been made that foxes have a takeoff angle of about 40 degrees, give or take 6 degrees. And this is interesting because conventional physics states that the optimal takeoff angle for a missile, i.e. the angle at which it has to leave the ground to travel the greatest distance possible, is 45 degrees. So the fox is pretty close to optimal. They may take off at a slightly suboptimal angle, because if they took off at the 45 degrees, they may become too conspicuous to their prey. And if they aren't pouncing, they are stalking, belly to the ground, and rush to prey. Obviously, with the thump we heard and no sign of any rushing, he pounced. They also tend to play dead and let curious prey come to them. Very smart stuff. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is today's fun fact.